2.5 million New Jersey residents have been fully vaccinated, which puts the Garden State on track to meet its goal of having 70% of the population vaccinated by the end of June. Governor Phil Murphy, First Lady Tammy Murphy, they're due to get their second dose after getting the first shot almost 2 weeks ago at the Atlantic City Convention Center. And as of yesterday, anybody 16 and older now eligible for the vaccine. To talk more about this, Governor Murphy back here on the Pick 7 Morning News. Governor, good to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Dan. Good to be with you.
So, Governor, let's begin, because after this brief uptick in the number of COVID cases, right, we're seeing the numbers go down. That is good news. Do you believe it's because more and more people are actually getting vaccinated?
Yeah, I would say it's baby steps going in the right direction, but there's no question the past week or so it's going in the right direction. Dan, I think it's a combination of factors. Folks continue to do the right thing in New Jersey by the millions, face masks, social distancing, etc. We have crossed over 6 million shots in the arms, as you rightfully point out, over halfway to our goal of 70% of our adults getting vaccinated by the end of June. A beautiful weather like today allows us to live our lives more outdoors than indoors, where the virus is less lethal. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but knocking on wood here, I think at long last, I think things are starting to go in the right direction.
Yeah, variants versus the vaccines is the race that we keep hearing right now. Is there enough supply, Governor, to meet the demand of everybody who wants to get vaccinated?
Yeah, the variants, I should say that up front, Dan, the variants are all over our state. We're the densest state in America. We're in the densest region in America, which you know well. So that's a given. The answer is, I believe, yes. Clearly, Johnson & Johnson's challenges have been a bump in the road, but I think even if we don't get them back on soon, although it sounds like if you read the tea leaves from folks like Dr. Fauci that we may well get them back, I'm confident still that we can get to that 4.7 million New Jerseyans vaccinated by the end of June.
Yeah, and there's even reports we could see Johnson & Johnson back in play as early as the end of this week, to be determined, right? Your partner in crime over there, Governor Ned Lamont in Connecticut, just announced that his state will lift all COVID-19 restrictions except masking next month. So now that we're talking about these baby steps back in a positive direction, Governor, do you see yourself putting out a very similar plan as soon as we get into the summer months?
Yeah, we're going to definitely continue to open up, Dan. There's no question about it. We had a long meeting on this last night. I continue to think we will take incremental steps. That has worked well for us. I think we're the only state in the union that has not lurched. In other words, we haven't opened something and then had to pull it back. And I'm proud of that. And it's given people a sense of consistency, which I think has been very valuable. But I think without question, we'll be able to open up further if the numbers continue to improve. But I think we'll do it step by step.
And lastly, on the COVID topic, Rutgers University was one of the first colleges in the country to make COVID vaccines mandatory for students returning to campus in the fall, which has now prompted others to follow suit. Do you think schools should be doing this across the state?
I've been open-minded on this, Dan. I'm going to sit with Rutgers' fantastic president, Jonathan Holloway, tomorrow morning, which I do quarterly. I'd like to think still that folks get there of their own free will. I'm sure there are some legal issues associated with this, but Rutgers has been a rock throughout this entire pandemic, led by Dr. Holloway.
I want to switch topics here. At the top of the hour, we had a live report from our Craig Treadway in Minneapolis, Governor. All eyes on Minnesota this morning. Jury deliberation set to get underway in the Derek Chauvin trial in just under 2 hours. The country gripped with this trial. It's a case, as you know, that's reignited calls for police reform all around the country. New Jersey recently took aggressive action there, creating this use of force database that tracks every incident involving a police officer. Is that enough, Governor? Are there other reforms in the works here as this is now back in the forefront?
Listen, it's something, Dan, that we literally look at almost daily. I had a meeting yesterday afternoon with the Attorney General, the Superintendent of the State Police, the head of Homeland Security. We're constantly trying to deepen the engagement between law enforcement and the communities they serve. I'm proud that throughout the entire aftermath of the murder of George Floyd, New Jersey had hundreds, if not thousands, of protests with some but very few incidents But it's something we try to, that notion that you perfect the union every day. This is something we try to perfect every day. There's no static reality here. Deepening law enforcement's engagement with the communities they serve is job number one for us, and we will stay at that.
Absolutely, and that leads me right to the topic, Governor, of gun reform. And you are now looking to enact sweeping new gun laws across the state in response to the rise that we're seeing in these deadly shootings, specifically this year, right? What will that look like for the state of New Jersey and its residents?
Yeah, Dan, we already have among the strongest gun safety laws in America. But that doesn't mean they can't be stronger. That doesn't mean we need regional cooperation. That does not mean that we still don't need federal laws. But in our case, I announced a whole package of reforms on Friday, banning 50 caliber weapons, making sure you pass a training course before you get a gun license, just like you would for a car, raising the age that you could buy a firearm from 18 to 21, putting money into intervention programs that we know work, a whole series of steps that will make our reality in New Jersey even stronger. Again, we're not an island, so we will continue to do that, but we need national legislation as well.
National legislation indeed. And what we're seeing play out nationally and locally is the topic of marijuana. New Jersey taking another step towards legalizing marijuana sales when your Cannabis Regulatory Commission met for the first time yesterday. A lot of people listening to this. It is 420. We're seeing events in New York City take place where actually you're getting free joints if you get a vaccine in Union Square Park. But in New Jersey, what is this commission set up to do?
Yeah, I don't know of anything in particular we're doing to commemorate 420 in New Jersey, but the commission is set up to oversee the build out of the adult use cannabis industry, which is a huge step. And equity is front and center to make sure that not just in our criminal justice reform, but in the manner by which we set this industry up, who gets to participate, who gets the licenses, who benefits from this, that equity is our driving principle. People ask me all the time, hey, are you happy about the potential revenue, job creation, economic jolt? All of that's great. We're doing this for social justice. The commission is an outstanding group. As you mentioned, they met yesterday, and they're off to the races.
What about towns like Wayne, New Jersey, right, who say, well, we don't want it, we don't want this, we're not going to allow it to take place in our town. Is that going to affect anything going on in the state?
Yeah, I mean, Wayne's not the only town that has raised their hand and said that. Obviously, it will impact at the end of the day where the actual retail dispensaries are. But I'll leave that to the commission. It's an outstanding group of folks led by an outstanding former colleague of mine, Diana Huenu, and her colleagues. I'm completely confident that they will land in a really good place that meets all the objectives here, especially equity.
Understood. You know, Governor, and lastly, I want to talk about this. It was a very serious story that came out, and it's probably the toughest one to talk about for you in particular, and I want to make sure that we get this right. A recent survey ranked New Jersey among one of the worst states in the nation. Did you see this report? Did you see this study? There it is. Look
I saw the headline.
New Jersey ranked 48 out of 50, Governor. What do you say about this?
Complete crap. New Jersey is the #1 state in America. It is in particular the #1 state to raise a family, #1 public education system in the United States, great quality of life, location second to none, great health care. Come on in. Jersey's open for business.
You left out the Taylor ham pork roll.
It's America's #1 state.
And they have Taylor ham.
Taylor ham, pork roll. We could resolve that. That's within our four walls. We'll figure that one out.
You lured me back over
But America's #1 state to raise a family.
There you go. Governor Phil Murphy, always appreciate your time. You're welcome back anytime, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
All right, say hello to the First Lady for us as well.